Yo, people, welcome back to the Soccer PM podcast. Today is your episode 7 of the show. It is hosted by your boy Jords, aka Durag Diaries. Joined today by my fellow co-hosts, starting first with a champion of the Premier League, as you can see behind him, man like Dean. What are you saying?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. In fact, just in case Hawks can't see.
So a reminder, is yours gold? As you can see in the writing in the back, is yours gold?
3 or 2 is 20.
Okay. Most definitely. 20 titles. Dean's feeling himself still high off the celebrations, still Premier League champions, defending ones at that as we go into the new season. Joined by him, as he's mentioned in the name right there, man like Hooks. Definitely not a champion, but he's here. What are you saying, bro?
No, I'm good, man. I'm good, man. Just, you get me, transfer window, preparing for a holiday. It's all good, man. I'm sweet.
Good. And then onwards from that, we have Mr. Celebrity himself. And I have to say it that way because, hey, he was too much celebrity status, right? He's all telling us, yeah, do the show without me this week, man. And you don't even need me. I'm too busy for you, man. D, Mr. Fam Zone TV, decided to join us. What are you saying? He's all quiet now.
I can't believe he's there defensive.
He's now too good. Now he's too good to talk to us. That's what's going on.
Man's on mute. Put himself on mute by accident. Put himself. Hey, bruv, come on. What's going on, man? It's mad. Mute is crazy.
No explanation. No, just mute. Yeah, as you can see there, people.
I'm too mature for your slide digs. Oh,
he's too now he wants to reply. Didn't even say hello. Didn't even say hello. Welcome, Soccer PM people. Nothing. Didn't he want to say? See this? He's gone too big time for us now. He's gone too big time.
I don't know where this is all coming from. I don't understand. What is the problem here? What is your issue here? What is your actual issue here?
All we're gonna say is make sure you subscribe to everyone's channels. This podcast is released 6 p.m. every Thursday on Fam Zone TV, at Halftime Hooks, and Durag Diaries, as you can see in the comment below. Not comment, what's that called? Ticker. There we go, in the ticker below. But starting off, we're going to talk a bit about the transfer window, because obviously there's been a short... I don't know, they've changed the rules this year. We all know that there's Club World Cup taking place. I believe it's on the 15th of June. Correct me if I'm wrong on the dates. But it's taking place onwards from next week. And from that, they've opened up a transfer window period for about 10 days to allow clubs to bring players in to then be registered for that Club World Cup. What do we think of that? Think of the rule entirely, changing the rules to suit the Club World Cup so some teams can go there, compete with new players, and ultimately put themselves in a better position later on in the transfer window because they could win upwards of £100 million in funds. I'll bring it to you, Hooks, first. What do you think of the rule change?
I think it's a bit unfair, you know. Like, I feel like, obviously, I know why it's been put in place. It's obviously been put into place. So, like, teams that are taking part in the Club World Cup are able to, like, refresh their squad and, you know, ensure that they have, like, a certain amount of, like, players ready to... Because it's a tournament that is, if you win it, you get stupid amounts of money. So, I hear it in it. But I feel like it's kind of mashing up, like, plans of clubs that are not involved in the Club World Cup, because now any business that they was planning to do, they have to move a bit faster because say for example Man City want the same target that you want. You're forced into triggering any sort of deal that you want to do. Now the same with Real Madrid, you're forced into triggering a deal maybe sooner than what you would have wanted to. And I know that a lot of teams are waiting until the 1st of July. So any business that they do gets considered in next year's PSR opposed to this season's PSR. The only team that's kind of going the opposite end of things is Liverpool. So Liverpool are moving bare fast because they want to get deals done, and they want those deals to count for this year's PSR instead of next year's PSR, which will probably allow them to, from July the 1st, to even trigger more.
It's not just Liverpool moving fast, though. That's the thing, Hooks. There's a lot of teams moving fast in this window. Most in particular, the team that is competing in the Club World Cup in Manchester City. They're looking to get multiple deals wrapped up this week. Links to Tijani Randers getting the here we go. Aiton Nori getting the here we go. Turkey supposedly round the corner from a here we go. These teams, and Chelsea being another one trying to get some deals wrapped. Do we think that they're giving the likes of Manchester City an unfair advantage going into next season? Because like I said, they're signing players now who are then going to have an earlier window to then embed themselves into the team. But then also they get a massive fund from competing in this Club World Cup. So when they go in August to start bidding for more players and realizing, okay, these players we need to sign in different, they've got a massive transfer kitty bonus from that. Don't you think, Dean, like you're going to be competing with them for the league next season? And don't you look at it and think they've got an advantage over us right now?
Bro, but I want to know what's going on with 115 charges, bro. Why are they still buying players, bro? Can't we sort this out first and then address what's going on? Can't we just, because Everton and Nottingham Forest have been sorted out. They've been sorted out. They've been docked points and all that, yeah? So why Man City is still allowed to buy players? They haven't been found guilty or nothing, yeah? So if they've been found guilty, they're buying players now, right? So what do we do? Like, that's my thing, right? Like, I hear they're doing their business. Fair enough, but my thing is like, bruv, until I know if you're guilty or not, you shouldn't be able to sign no one, bruv. That don't make no sense to me. You're on bail. How are you on bail and you're allowed still to do madness, bruv? That's madness to me, bruv. Never heard nothing like that in my life. That's the reality of it for me, bruv. Like, I don't understand it. Serious.
And just bringing you in, D. Obviously, I know you've probably not paid as close attention to the transfer window side of things or the actual transfers taking place. But what do you think of the rule change itself to help these teams out and give them a little bit of a boost?
I'm a little bit confused. You might have to give me a little bit more understanding, but I'm a little bit confused. So you see, are they allowed to sign players and then do players go back to their original teams?
No. So basically, this window between June 1st and June 10th, they can sign players. But the difference is usually if you sign players now, they won't register until July 1st, innit? Now they're going to register instantly to be a part of the squad, and they can register to be a part of the Club World Cup team. So
doesn't the transfer window close and then open again or something?
It closes, it closes and then reopens again after the Club World Cup.
So it's just basically a short early transfer window so you can sign players for this tournament.
Yes.
So basically it's for people like Ronaldo and Messi in case they not in it.
Yeah.
No, that's part of it.
That's the main reason.
That's the reason, right? Because Ronaldo's going to quickly go to another team and play, right?
That's not the reason why, because it's not just him that it impacts all the teams. Like you're seeing other teams. Also, we saw Trent, Real Madrid signed him. Not being funny, Liverpool made 10 million off that deal. They got him 1 month early. They paid 10 million euros or something just so he can be involved in that Club World Cup squad. You're seeing that was also it. Ronaldo was offered a move from the Saudi government to either Al Ali or Al Hilal, I believe it was, because those two teams were involved in the Club World Cup and the Asian Champions League. So to allow him to compete in those competitions, I don't think he actually took the move, but he was offered. And then obviously, some of the other teams like Real Madrid, Manchester City, some of the giants in football have that advantage of where now they can sign players in this window, register them instantly, and those players are going to have instant impact in their squad in this competition. Whereas I suppose other teams like ourselves are just all on holiday right now, innit? Like if we're signing players, they're not going to be able to have instant impact. Those players need to wait until July 1st to fully register and start training and so on. So it's just more if you have an opinion on that side of things, if you think they've got an advantage. If you don't think they've got an advantage, then
I'm not. I don't know enough about it. I feel like if all of them are in there and they can all sign players, then it's all the same thing, then, isn't it? I guess. I'm not too sure. I don't really know. I don't know enough about it. I'm not too sure about it. I'll be real. I don't know what's really going on and what's not. And to me, there's so many different rules and changes, and like this is basically their version of the Champions League, isn't it? Or like a version of the World Cup.
It's a version of the World Cup. It's Club World Cup's always gone on, but it's usually gone on in January. They've now changed the format, so it involves more clubs, makes it a bit more competitive. But ultimately, there's more money involved in it. That's what it is. It's an hour. A one. The winner gets like 100 upwards.
Yeah,
of
but
100
I was
million
watching.
per season.
I was watching the overlap, and I was trying to figure out. I was trying to listen to them, and I didn't really understand that. Carragher said, the people that are in it are from 4 years ago or something like that.
So there's a coefficient of the winners. So Chelsea are obviously in it because they won the Champions League in 2021. So I feel like it's I don't exactly know how they work out the coefficients. That's obviously all up to UEFA. But there's a coefficient of a certain amount of teams around the world who have the highest coefficients all enter that competition. But obviously there's certain amount from, like, let's just say Europe and then Asia and then America, because the teams are pulled from all over the world. So it's essentially a Champions League formatted competition, the old school style, post-season for all the champions around the world.
But who's in it though? Is it so who's from England is in it?
You got just Chelsea and Liverpool. Let me get
Liverpool in it.
I'm not in it.
No, Chelsea and Man City. Sorry, Chelsea, Man City.
I was gonna have what?
Look, I'll get
God,
out.
So just Chelsea and Man City are in this. Is that because they won the Champions League in whatever?
In the last 4 years, they're the two Champions League winners from England.
So if Liverpool have won it this year, would they be in it or not?
When the next Club World Cup happens, they are likely to be in it. And then
no, but if they had won this one this year, would they have been in this year's one?
Liverpool would have, not this year's. It would have been in next year's, because obviously these teams are all qualified from.
Oh, there's not yearly, is it? I think it's every 4 years.
Wait. I'm confused. If Liverpool won the Champions League this season, would they be in this year's tournament?
No.
Oh, they wouldn't be in it.
No.
This season's because the contestants for this season was already drawn at like January, basically. So this year's one was already made up from last year's data. So then they'll use this year's data to make up next season's competition if it's next year.
Hold on, wait. Next season, was it? Ain't every 4 years?
No, every 4 years. So the next 4 years
it's every 4 years, isn't it? Every 4 years, like a World Cup.
But the thing is, if no English team wins the Champions League between now and then, Man City and Chelsea will go in again.
I said this is a crap. This is rubbish.
Wait, but what if one person won it? What if one person's in it?
What do you mean if one person?
So let's imagine Arsenal won it this year. Yeah. Are you still going to get two? So basically, what?
No, you won't get 3 English teams in it. No.
What is the requirement to qualify for it? Is basically what I'm asking.
It's just 32 of the world's best teams. That's how they've.
Oh, there's 32 teams in it.
Yeah, there's 32 teams in it. There's 32 teams. Remember how the Club World Cup used to be like a small amount of teams? There's 30. So I can go through just.
Am I getting it confused? Because I remember the Club World Cup. Isn't that the Brazilian team?
It used to be a small. Yeah. It used to be small. They've changed.
There's 6 teams in it. That's 6 or 10 teams in it before.
So now 32 teams in it. You now have 8 groups, literally, and they get seeded. And you've got the likes of the Brazilian teams like Palmeiras. You got Boca Juniors. You've got them, man. But you also have teams like Benfica, Porto, Bayern, Dortmund, Inter.
Benfica? Why is Benfica?
PSG. They've basically got 2 teams or 2 of the best teams from like the winning teams from most countries in Europe, the top leagues anyway.
Hold on, wait. Why is Benfica
if we need to go there explaining, we're gonna have to go around.
No, but what did Benfica win? Because you're talking about Champions League.
They're only. It's not just.
You got win your own league as well.
Yeah, it's all these other things. It's coefficients and stuff. So how they do the coefficients, it's UEFA put that all together, or FIFA, sorry, because it's a FIFA one.
Sound like a mess, bro.
I
don't get it.
It's all a player for money. It's all a player.
So when do they rest? When do these players rest? See, after this is done, and then going to when does this finish? This thing.
The actual competition finishes around the finals on July 13th.
So they get a month off. They'll get a month off. No, they'll get 2 weeks off. They get a couple of weeks off.
They'll get 2 weeks off. Most teams, most players are gonna.
That is mad.
You know what? These teams will probably not have pre-season tours. That's the thing. The teams involved in here are unlikely to have pre-season tours, so they'll have 2 weeks.
They get injuries, all sorts, bro. That's mad. It's crazy.
I'm just trying to. When does it start?
It starts next week, I believe. So June 14th.
I don't know. I don't know about this. I don't know about this, man.
I don't like it at all.
I feel like if you wanted to do a competition where, because I'm assuming what it is FIFA want their own version of the Champions
Of the
League.
Champions League, yes,
The
exactly.
Champions League is UEFA, isn't it?
Yeah,
And FIFA don't have their own version.
yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's two like
Two
institutions.
different institutions trying to
wanting
like
their own.
compete against each other. Ultimately, like we see with UEFA having the Nations League at the moment, we're seeing that be a competition that
Instead of having
Spain and
that's
France,
what it
like, no one cares, but no one cares about it, and they're making all these competitions. That's why I think the biggest problem here is they're making so many competitions that ultimately you're just watering down what a trophy is. Because
but no one knows anything, because what's going to happen now? The Club World Cup now is that now going to be considered higher than the Super Cup, for example? Or are they trying to make this Club World Cup? Is it basically they're trying to rival the
Champions League, ultimately,
another version of the Champions League? But then again, on the flip side of it, Liverpool won what would make sense if you really wanted to make it the champions of the champions was put the winners of the teams in that year.
No, because
there's no way the two best teams in the Premier League.
No,
How can they not be?
I think it's more for logistics. You have to organize it.
I know.
No, but Europe, because it's like, so basically Europe only has 12 clubs that can go in, and the way that they decide how those clubs go in is based upon how they performed over the last 4 years of the Champions League. Now, Real Madrid, Man City, and Chelsea all got in immediately because they won the Champions League. So they were so over that period, they were the Champions League winners. So I think because two English teams have won the Champions League, they didn't look at any more English teams, because it's not like, it's based upon Europe, and they have to take a certain amount of teams from Europe. So the teams from Europe that actually got in was Man City, Madrid, Chelsea, Bayern Munich, PSG, Inter Milan, Porto, Benfica, Borussia Dortmund, Juventus, Salzburg, and Atletico Madrid. Now, if you look at all of those, Atletico Madrid, in terms of Spain, has performed over the last 3 years of Champions League the best, better than Barcelona. If Barcelona did
Barcelona in Europa League,
they got knocked
were in
out.
Europa League 1 year, and then they got knocked out of Champions League early 1 year.
Yeah,
and Atletico has been a consistent performer in it.
So I think if there was 1 year where Barcelona got knocked out mad early, if they didn't get knocked out mad early that season, they probably would have been in it. Bayern Munich, no more needs to be said. Dortmund got to the final last season. Benfica and Porto always do the best in European competitions out of the Portuguese teams. PSG, I don't think no more needs to be said, but France have only got one team in there. Salzburg, I don't know how or why Salzburg got in there. I haven't got a clue.
This is what I'm saying. So there's no clear reason to be in there. There's no clear reason for teams to be in there. This is a mess, bro.
Yeah. It's obviously one of those ones, isn't it? Like, they're just adding competitions, and ultimately, I mean, the biggest thing is none of us have got teams in there.
None of us have got a clue. None of us have got a clue. Like, Hooks is the only one that kind of has an understanding of.
No, I get that. I have an understanding of that, but I mean, none of us have teams in the line. We don't support teams.
Yeah, but it might affect us in 4 years' time. It might affect us in 4 years' time, bro.
So that's why we're not as in the know, because we're not impacted by it. So
but it would make sense. It would make sense if it was those years' winners of your domestic competitions, wouldn't it?
You know why? Because imagine Man United won it whenever it was and they get into it this season. Well, after they come 16th or whatever their game, that don't make no sense to me, bro.
Doesn't make sense.
That's mad.
Doesn't make sense.
But because they measure it over. Because
it's been watered down because Liverpool are Premier League champions.
Yeah, but this season isn't counted.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is it's being played
But
this
it's just
season.
no, but the reason why it wouldn't work like that, D, is because logistically, you wouldn't be able to plan
Yeah,
post-season the whole competition for all the teams that are going to be making. Think of it, they'd have to decide from May, whatever it was, 16th, that England, that Liverpool were confirmed as champions. Okay, now we've got 3 weeks to put together this tournament of how Liverpool and how all these other teams are now going to get there, and it just doesn't make sense, innit? You have to plan it.
Their
for, like,
business.
6
It's
months.
their business. It needs to be
So
the.
what?
It needs to be the winner.
But-
it needs to be
but-
the best teams in it.
So
And
what
when
is
you
this?
run-
Is this? Hold on. Is this something that's? I just need to know something clear. I still consider the league and Champions League the biggest two trophies. Yeah.
Now you're going to ask a
What is
question no
this?
one has the answer for. If this is a
What
bigger
is this?
competition,
You can't
it's
be
for whoever. It's for everyone to make their own decision.
I don't want to
It's one
hear
of those
people
ones.
start
Everyone can make
saying.
their own decision on
I
it.
don't want to hear none of that. I don't want to hear Chelsea start saying you ain't won this. I don't want to hear nothing like that.
And the
It's
reason
one of
Every
them
4
ones.
years.
You
It's
just
every
gotta look.
4 years, isn't it? I don't
Yeah,
know.
you're just gonna have to let people run with what they want in this one. And
This
it's
is
a
what
new
I'm saying.
competition.
This
So we're
is
gonna
too
have
much
to get used
football,
to it
man.
over
I
a
don't even
while.
like football right now. I don't like football.
the reason
But-
why it has the reason why you can't do this season as well, if you think about it logistically, how a team can't actually plan for their preseason. So Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, none of them would have been able to plan for their preseason because they wouldn't have known who was going to win the league. And
Yeah,
this Club World Cup is actually happening during while other teams are doing their preseason.
No, but Liverpool and Arsenal are the best teams in the league, and they're not in this. I don't want to be in it, by the way.
Don't make
But
sense.
Liverpool and Arsenal are the best two teams in the league.
So it's
They're not,
sound
they're
like
not
so
representing
you're kinda
England.
jealous. All right, we get where you.
No,
mean.
we're not representing. Bro, if you want to represent England, you want the best two teams in
no,
it.
You want the two best teams in the league.
Yeah, but we're
I
not
don't
representing.
wanna
We're not
be in
representing England.
You're not representing
It's
England.
Europe.
In Europe,
So we're in there. It's by continent. So there's representatives of Europe. That's why they have to look at performance in the Champions League, which is the highest tier of European football.
it makes sense. I think it makes sense on that side of it.
I don't know, man.
It's all right. You're never going to be in it. You're never
Moving
going
on,
to be in it. You're
moving
right.
on, because we wanted to discuss, and I wanted to get about because you touched on it briefly, Hooks. PSR, and for those that don't know, PSR is the profit and sustainability rules that are in place within the Premier League currently, different to those of FFP. So if for some people that don't understand, you have FFP, you have PSR. If you're a club that plays in a European competition, you have to adhere to both FFP and PSR. For clubs that just play in, let's say, England, for example, they just have to adhere to the Premier League's PSR rules, the profit and sustainability rules, which in essence is when every Premier League team adds up their annual accounts, they basically can have no greater loss than 105 million across the previous 3 seasons. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen, but the only reason Chelsea are in a good position for PSR currently is due to the sale they made last year of their hotel. I believe it was the Stamford Bridge Hotel,
What?
as well as the Chelsea
And the training, but on the training ground or something.
the training ground
Oh
and the Chelsea
my
women's
gosh.
football team that ultimately brought them 129 million in sales, which
Are
they
you being
sold.
serious?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
sold
they
it.
sold their training ground rights
They
to
basically
their.
sold it from their chairman ownership
They're in
group,
Barcelona.
another
They sold off the.
subsidiary company that they own. So they've passed
Oh,
basically.
and they sold it to themselves.
Yeah. They sold it to themselves. They sold
Nah.
it to themselves.
You know what? I'm done with football. I'm finished with football.
And then
Football's
what they
It's
did,
done.
they changed the rules after they did that to say you can't do that anymore. But
I don't
my
think
thing-
the thing though.
No.
I think
So they've
They
not
got
done that.
rejected for the women's team sales. They got rejected for. I'm pretty sure. I think they're in.
No.
I
So
think
they
they're
didn't.
deciding-
So what happened was they never got rejected for either of the sales. The sales just got reevaluated and brought down slightly. So basically, the valuation that Chelsea put it as, I think they put 76 or 77 million for the sale of their either the
Of course you
hotels
can.
or the training ground. They brought it down to 70 million, and then same for the women's team. They put the valuation a bit higher than what it was supposed to be, and then they brought it down.
So why not say it's 100 million? If you're buying it from yourself, why don't you say it's 200 million? It's worth.
that's the point.
Bring
That's
it
the
right
point.
back.
That's why they have.
No,
Like,
that's
all
the thing. That's what they done. That's what they tried to do. But then independent aggregators come in and sort of reevaluated the
But they-
valuation.
In the first place, you should sell it to yourself. That's crazy to me. It's like me just selling stuff to myself to pay my taxes. You don't make no sense to me, bro.
But that's
I
But
kind
then
of
know what
I
you
think
said.
all
Know what
these
you
things
said
are-
there, where the clubs have voted. The clubs have actually voted not to stop that from happening. So basically, it was put up against that. There was a few clubs that complained about Chelsea doing that. Then when it actually come to the voting this year round, so it usually happens after the season, they do a vote. And then this was tabled for a vote, but eventually never got voted for because I guess other teams are seeing this loophole.
Because they want to do it as well.
They want to do it as well. So,
but to me, I think there's two issues here. The first issue is this ties in with the Man City 115 charges. So it's two situations. The first situation is, do you think teams should be allowed to spend their own money? This is what it comes down to. Because this is the only reason why they're doing this, because they're not allowed to spend all their billions that they have. That's the only reason. The second thing where it comes down to is, if they're not allowed to spend their own money, how do they get around finding a way to spend money? This is the issue, because the situation that Man City are going through is because they're not allowed. You can't. Man United are in a situation now where they can spend all the money that they've got. Depending on how much debt you've got, there's a lot of ways how you can get around this. And there's a lot of ways that you can say, I feel like if you're in £1.5 billion debt, you should have to spend, every time you spend on a transfer, you have to spend that on your debt as well. Do you get it? So if you spend 60 million on Cunha, you have to spend 60 million on your debt. If you spend 60 million on another transfer, you have to spend 60 million on your debt. That's one way to do it. That no matter what you spend, you have to spend it on your debt as well. That's the first thing. The second thing would be is, how do these smaller clubs that get taken over compete with the big teams? Because Man City have been spending money for years. They would never have got to the heights that they've reached unless they. How is a team going to overtake Man United or Liverpool? Unless they spend their, unless they, it's impossible. Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool are going to be at the top forever because they bring in the most money. That's unfair.
I don't think like that though. I feel like it's more. Because when you look at it, let's be honest, the London clubs, for one, have the best opportunity to make that type of money because London ultimately a more expensive city. So when you go up north, the cheaper it gets, the harder it is. So we can look at a club like Newcastle, or in a position where they've got loads of money. We all know they've got the richest owners, but they're unable to spend money because they can't balance their books, whether they get in through sponsorships. The only other way to balance their books and actually look like the club's making high amounts of revenue is through player sales. So isn't it like... Yeah, it's slightly unfair, but also, don't you think you have to have those things?
No, I don't.
Place?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
No, I don't. To stop the likes of, let's just say, Newcastle, who are in a very good position, that they can just come in, and if the owners really wanted to, they could just start flooding through transfer money.
Yeah, but the situation is in Newcastle. Newcastle are in a situation where they couldn't heavily invest, and they've had to sell players like Anderson and all these players that they would have kept, and they can't build on this. Whereas the other side of it is that, what happens when teams go into debt and they go bankrupt, and teams and they go into administration and stuff like that? That's the other side of it. Unfortunately, that happens in life. People do go bankrupt in life. People have money issues in life. Unfortunately, that's just part of it. But another part of life is teams. You can spend money that you earn or that you have. I don't only have to spend my own money.
No, you're not understanding. Yeah, you got fans that's been here for 100 years supporting this club. You got owner that just comes out of nowhere, sweeps you off your feet, spends all his money, gets your club in debt, and then now your club that you've been supporting, your granddad's been supporting, everyone's been supporting, is now being thrown out of the league, bro, because now they're in debt.
Don't introduce me to a vibe you can't maintain.
Remember, it's the fans.
How do clubs like Everton, Newcastle, these teams, how do they overtake Liverpool, Arsenal, Man United?
This happened before, you know.
How do they do it? They've got to be shrewd of their business, but no one else has to be shrewd of their business. And what's going to happen now? Teams like Brentford or teams like I say Everton now, or Aston Villa in this situation right now. They now have to start selling their best players. They've got one of the youngest teams, one of the strongest squads in the league, and it's looking like, if we can build on that and start spending, we can push on. They didn't get Champions League. They might have to sell Rodgers or Watkins.
But that's a risk. That's a calculated risk that they decided to take.
What do you mean?
Like they decided to spend, for example, in the summer in January, they decided to spend in a way that would help them get.
So basically,
into
they
the
had
Champions League.
they were
Yeah,
operating.
I get what you're
They were
saying, but how
operating at
could they?
97% wage to
Yeah.
revenue
That's
turnover.
crazy.
That's the
crazy.
ratio. That's
But how do
crazy,
they
bro.
overtake Man United?
Over time.
So like, for
Over
example,
time.
I think a club that's doing it really well is Brighton.
No.
Brighton-
See, I disagree. What you're saying, a club's doing it really well. Brighton are doing it exceptionally well because they have to. I'm saying a team like Newcastle have spent just as shrewdly as Brighton have.
Yeah, but the
Just
issue with
Newcastle are nearly there, bro.
No,
Newcastle
they're
are
not.
nearly
They've
there.
got all they haven't spent for 4 windows or
Yeah,
3
but-
Bro,
windows.
but because they've done so well, then they nearly, bro. They got into this is the Champions League they're in now,
Champions League
so
again.
they're there now.
No, Newcastle. If they were allowed to spend, they've had to sell players.
No, but
Newcastle,
that's the point.
Yeah,
though.
but look what
Going
look where
into,
they are
going
now.
into the champion. So what happens, D, is when you as you progress in the league, ultimately you're gonna get more money. So your spend, like I said, the amount of debt and the spend that you could do is higher. Newcastle going into the Champions League, and what Aston Villa, what Hooks was gonna say is they banked on going into the Champions League. So that operating ratio they were going to have was going to be a lot lower because they've got Champions League money that will balance the books more. Newcastle now, when they're out of Champions League this season, when they didn't play no Europe, that messed them up completely because they couldn't spend, because now their funds went from maybe bringing in 200, 300 million for a match day revenue to now about 100 million. So now what will happen is Newcastle going back into the Champions League is going to give them that extra money they need to then go and start spending.
You're explaining the rules to me. I get that. What my question is, how does a team overtake Man United, Arsenal, and Liverpool? That's my question.
How are teams doing that prior to PSR?
They're not. Man United.
You can look at Tottenham then. How did Tottenham come from a team 20 years ago who was at that level financially, by the way, to now being at the same financial level as the likes of Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United, like one of the top giants in world football? It's through making smart acquisitions, through doing things business-wise over time. Over time, it takes about 15 years to get to the point.
That's not right. That's not right.
Well, hold on. What do you expect? Hold on, wait. You think that someone? You think ownership is coming and saying what they want?
Of course they should.
No way.
Of course they should. Why should the owner that have money and wants to invest? Because you got to remember, as much as you've got bad owners, you've got good as well. So why should the owner not be allowed to come and spend his money on the club and he wants to take it to the top of the tree? Why should that not be allowed?
Because they're thinking about the best of the football clubs.
Like, why is that the best for the football clubs?
Because you got to appreciate, not everyone who buys a football club understands football.
How to run them.
Like you had a scenario where Leyton Orient was very close to getting liquidated because they had like 250k worth of unpaid tax.
After Barry Hearn sold them, they were pissed.
because the brother came in, some Italian brother, I think it was Italian. He came in, he bought them up. And he started doing mad stuff like sacking bare managers, not paying taxes, and then he just bust out. And then they was left with his debt, and they nearly went into a point where they liquidated. Now that happened in what? I think there was a League One team at the time.
Barry.
Yeah.
Barry
actually. There's no more Barry. Barry's vanished. Like they're gone. They lost their club. Now the reason why it's not so much of an impact is because they're not Premier League teams. Not even championship teams. But when you get to the Premier League, let's just say, for example, if we use Newcastle for an example, they're owned by someone who is richer than every other owner in the Premier League combined. So if we let them spend all the money that they want to spend, what if it doesn't work? And then they just go, oh, you know what? I don't really care because I got billions and billions and billions. You know what? Yeah, I don't care about Newcastle no more. I'm just gonna
disagree with
leave it to someone else, and then Newcastle end up in a situation where they can't recover. That's Newcastle.
You keep saying it on the wrong side of the coin. You keep saying
you have to prepare for the worst. You can't prepare for the best.
It's not. No, you have to prepare for the worst. But I'm saying what you're basically saying is that a team like Man City would never have been Man City. So a team like Man United now, Man United have finished 17th, and they're allowed to spend more than Newcastle that finished third or fourth.
I don't think that necessarily is the case.
The reason why is because they can bring in more revenue. It's very simple because they're a bigger club. So this benefits the bigger clubs.
No, but the difference is as well, where they're kind of lucky that Ineos came in, because if Ineos didn't come in, the Glazers wouldn't have done this. Jim actually put some of Ineos' own money, pumped it into Manchester United, so they be super clear of PSR. So they're super clear of PSR. That's why they're able to spend, because he injected his own money into the club.
Hold on, wait, Hooks. So you're saying the owners put money into the club to avoid this PSR stuff?
Now, I don't know the technicalities.
I don't know how this works.
With the Man United one, it's not exactly that. Man United had debt
lost.
in it. The Glazers didn't invest in Man United. Man United didn't. The Glazers only ever used the money that was made by Man United to invest back into the club.
They were taking dividends out, though.
Yeah, they were taking dividends out, but they never actually invested their own money once. When Jim Ratcliffe took over Man United, he put a big fund that was going to be investment for the club that was actually used as an investment into the club. I don't know however 100 millions it was, but then that investment then obviously gets used. They'll pull that out and put that into the club over the next 3 to 5 years, however they do it. And so that's why they're in a good position PSR-wise, because obviously they went for a new buy, just like Chelsea when Todd Boehly brought them. They had all these debts and stuff. It was fine because once Todd Boehly said, "Yeah, I'm pumping 500 million into the club," it's not a problem. They're going through that sell process, so they can do that. But obviously, for our owners aren't going to pump loads of money into the club.
Yeah, but it's easy. It's easy for us to like it because we're all support bigger clubs.
But even when you say that, like Cooks has said, so I've got the PSR up in front of me, and you can see here, obviously the big clubs are fine. Chelsea is the highest at 300 million safe. Brighton's second highest. Then you got Man City, Tottenham, United, Arsenal. But then below that, you've got the likes of West Ham, Palace, Nottingham Forest, and then Newcastle. See, Newcastle is still even operating at a point lower than the likes of West Ham, Crystal Palace, and Nottingham Forest. And that's through their own fault. That is just what you can look at. They're obviously not doing stuff right, but whether it's behind
but
that's not what. Because they're not bringing in enough through sponsorships. They're not making enough money.
I don't think that's what it is. I think what it is they're taking risks because they have to. That's what they're doing. They're taking risks to try. Because if they are to stay, like you said, like Nottingham Forest or Everton or some of these teams, or if these teams were to stay like at the level that they're actually at, they would never progress in the league ever. They have to take risks because of PSR. They have to take risks.
But you want everyone. See, so what you're saying, yeah? If we let this happen, you can spend what you want. Then we open up the whole thing for just every rich person to come in there and buy up every club, and let's use it as their plaything. That's what's gonna happen, bro. You don't have to spend what you want. That's what's gonna happen.
But what you actually don't realize is the flip side. If you remove PSR, there's even less chance of those teams catching up, because then Arsenal,
the bigger clubs just going to spend more money.
Man United, Chelsea go, we can spend
no way.
They'll get new owners. They'll get the proper owners.
No way.
The biggest problem will be things like when these clubs just start to, we're going to pay this player this amount of wages. And then they realize, we can't even afford to pay him this amount of wages for his whole contract. It's not affordable. What's going to happen then? You just decide that you're not paying a player's wages no more? Like
I gave an example of what we should do already. I said, when you spend the money on a player, you have to spend that same amount on your debt.
What about the wages?
What if you don't have that? Arsenal don't have that.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm talking about for teams like Man United that are 1.5 billion in debt or whatever they are.
Yeah, no, that's all fine. So let's remove Man United from.
Man United. Man United is the reason why Man United.
But they're the anomaly. So let's remove the anomaly.
They're not the anomaly. They're in the league.
I don't think it's fair to say they're anomaly.
They're not an anomaly. They're in the league.
No, wait. Hooks, you're saying everyone has debt. It's just how they manage.
Everyone's got debt.
All these teams have got debt. They just manage it very differently. Man United's debt's more renowned and it's more known because the Glazers just left. But like, for example, Tottenham, who are in a very good position PSR-wise, we've got a huge amount of debt on our stadium. But it's good debt, as in we're paying it off at the right times across however many years they got the deal in. So it's not about having to pay off your debt and stuff. It's just making sure you have enough money that your club is bringing in so you can spend. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that rule.
But for example, in Arsenal's case, like Arsenal's not in debt to other people. Arsenal's in debt to the owners. Like Arsenal's in debt to KSE because Arsenal took loans from KSE, which KSE put interest on. So it's not real debt. Like,
Yeah, but that was just that was
real debt.
it's real debt, bro.
no, it's not
If
real.
you want
It's
to
not
sell
real-
it, you owe them
No,
money.
it
it's
is.
not
You're
real
wrong.
debt. It only becomes real debt if KSE sell Arsenal.
Yeah,
but if they
it's
sell
debt.
Arsenal,
No, it's
we're
real
gonna buy
debt.
Arsenal.
It doesn't matter if you take a loan from your mum or from your friend. It's still a loan.
Yeah, it's still debt, bro. Can't just
Still
wipe it
alone.
off. I'm not gonna say,
Like,
oh, by the way, you don't need to pay no more when they sell it. You
You have
still want the money.
to write the debt off. The debt's there. It's real debt.
So obviously, D feels very strongly about this, and it seems like,
Yeah,
like I
because
said,
it
Man
favors the
United.
bigger clubs. It's out of order on the smaller clubs. I'm in favor of the underdog story, man. I think it's unfair on the smaller clubs. Teams like Newcastle, teams like Everton, teams like
No,
all them-
Everton's
Stop
got
using,
very,
stop
very
using
rich owners,
Everton,
by the
bro.
way.
I hate Everton. Stop
Everton's-
using them.
They've got loads of money, and they've used their money badly as to why they're in a
Yeah,
poor
they've used the
position.
money bad, bro.
Like,
Everton's a
terribly.
bad
If you
example.
actually look at Everton's spending, they've spent a lot of money. over the last-
Ancelotti, they were all they got bare players at one stage. They're the superstars.
but we've got teams that have benefited from this before all of this, like Abramovich, what he did with Chelsea, Man City.
Yeah.
Like, we've got teams that have benefited from it.
I thought that was
but no
wrong.
one else-
I thought that was
but
wrong, bro. I thought
but
that
no
was
one
wrong.
else is allowed to benefit from it.
That's why they
It's
changed the
out of
rules, bro. They changed the rules because this.
Yeah, but they're changing the rules now.
Abramovich-
But they're changing the rules now. But you've changed the rules when teams are in positions now.
No, but the thing is, you can't go back in time. It's like anything in life, isn't it? Once you realize that's wrong, you've got to change it now. We can't go back and punish someone now because them rules weren't there. It's new rules now. So I can't, bro. I just don't want everyone just to like football. Right now, I'm still enjoying football, but it's getting to a stage where I'm not enjoying football because, like you said, like Man United, like they're still spending big money, like they're big, like that things that annoy me. Like you shouldn't be there to come 15th or 16th, and things that annoy me, things that piss me off, and especially when a new club get new money, that annoys me more than anything. That annoys me more than anything.
Right.
When Man City came through with their money, that pissed me off.
I agree. I can't even lie. When you get these new clubs come through with like fake, and to me, it's fake money. It's a Monopoly thing. You know what? To me, it reminds me of, you know, when you're playing Monopoly, and then all of a sudden one of your friends kicks up fuss. Oh, I'm not playing no more. They give all their properties and money to the next person.
You can't do that. That's what I'm saying. So
Wait. And then that
don't play
person
Monopoly
now
properly.
wins the game. That person
you don't play Monopoly properly. That's not how you're meant to play Monopoly.
That's what people do. That's what people
do.
do.
In Monopoly, you're meant to auction. You're meant to auction every. So when someone comes out, you buy.
That's not how it plays because
you're not playing it right.
But that's what I'm saying. These people, these clubs are not going to play to the rules, D. They're just going to do what they want.
They're taking money at the bank. They're the bankers. They're taking money at the bank.
They're not playing to the rules now. They're not playing to the rules now.
You're saying to have no rules. So I'm saying what I'm saying is literally there is
no. I didn't say have no rules. I said every time you buy a. I've said it fair times. I didn't say have no rules. I said every time you buy a player, you have to spend that money on your debt. I said that.
Okay, but there's gonna be teams that don't have debt, so that money.
That doesn't make sense.
What teams don't have debt? I'll Google it. What teams don't have debt?
They're not gonna have high amounts of debt, so they could pay off.
No, it's not about high amounts. You're gonna think twice.
You're saying if they buy players, ultimately, the more players you buy, eventually they're gonna. What do you mean? Like
you can't hear what I'm saying.
Buy out their debt.
You can't hear what I'm saying because you're not listening to what I'm saying.
I can hear what you're saying. I heard exactly what you said. You said buy for a player and then spend the same money on debt.
So
eventually they're gonna run out of debt. And eventually they're going to buy players and spend them out of debt.
That would actually stop people from buying players because our transfer budget is only 120 million. Okay, I can't buy a 60 million player now because then all my transfer budget's gone because I have to put 60 million.
That's what happened. That's what. Hold
on. You're looking at one way. So what if a multi-billionaire oil merchant comes to take over here, wipes the debt out? Now he can just spend whatever he wants.
He's not allowed to do that. He's not because you can't use your own money. You're not allowed to do it because you can't use your own money anyway.
Well, that's what you wanted, though, isn't it? Spend what they want. You wanted them to spend what they want.
No, I'm saying that I think owners should be able to spend their money, but they're not allowed right now. So I'm saying the only way you make it fair is if you spend money on a player, you have to spend that same amount on your debt.
Yeah, but that's what I just said. If they wipe out the debt, they wipe the debt out now.
They're not allowed to do that.
But you're telling them to spend their own money. That's what you're saying.
Oh, am I speaking a different language?
You said they should be able to spend their own money, yeah? So I've come here, I've wiped the debt out of my own money now, yeah? Gone. Debt's gone. Yeah? My own money. Now I have to spend my money on whatever I want.
You're going into if the rules are not there.
Yeah, I'm going with what you're going on. You're saying they should be able to spend what they want. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, but you're saying two things at different points. I'm talking about.
No,
When
I'm saying one thing. I'm going on, but I'm basing what
I
you're
know, but the
saying.
point I'm making is when I was talking about buy, spend money and pay the other on your debt, I was talking about with the rules here. If you're talking about no rules, you're saying if they wipe out the debt, then what? That they can what? Spend what they want.
No, but if I'm going by what you said,
Yeah.
spend money on that and your debt. What if I just come in and wipe the debt straight away then?
You're saying two different things. When I'm saying spend money on the player and on your debt, I'm saying that with the rules now. I'm not saying that when there's no rules.
Why can't I wipe out the debt now straight away before I start?
I'm saying Man United, for example, now that are in £1.5 billion debt.
Yeah.
I'm saying they spend 60 on Bremo and then they have to spend 60 on their debt. They're gonna think twice about spending 60 on Bremo.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes
I
sense.
hear it,
but then
if I'm saying if the new owners took over
whole market of football, because then players' prices are gonna have to come down because ultimately you're spending double the amount every time you spend.
I don't know if what I'm saying is confusing. I don't really get it. I don't understand.
No, you're not getting what we're saying, bro. Because I get what you're saying, but that's gonna impact the whole transfer, the whole world of transfer.
That's what happens.
No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Ultimately,
Man United can't be 1.5 billion in debt, but because they make more than other clubs, they can spend what they want. Doesn't make sense.
But it depends who they got the debt to, innit? Depends who's negotiating the debt.
Because they make so much money in revenue, the banks will and obviously the authorities will say, oh yeah, they can always cover it because they make a lot of money.
Yeah, it's real. That's real life, though, isn't it?
They can always go further.
Well, the thing that's real life. See, if I went to the bank to get a loan, or Pogba went to the bank to get a loan, he's gonna get a bigger loan than me because it doesn't matter what it is. That's what I'm saying. So that's real life, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's how it works. Until I get my credit up somehow, wheeling and dealing, and then that's how life is, man. But the thing is, I just don't like football right now. Is at a stage where I'm really not interested in football because the amount of money people are spending on it, new owners, football's not football no more. I used to like to see little gems. Now you can't even buy a gem. Like look at Southampton back in the day. Matt Letizia stayed there for the whole of his life. That won't happen no more because the big clubs will just come in and buy him now. Bro, I can't, bro. Football's getting dead, bro. Everyone's just like, yeah, man, it's getting dead, bro.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of stuff going on in the world of football financially wise that seems to be messing up the world of football. But we're gonna have to see how it plays out in it. Like I said, PSR for some teams is hurting them. For some teams, it's all right. For my team in particular, and I suppose all of our teams here, none of us spend too madly, so we're in good positions. But there's only two teams in the Premier League this year that's gonna suffer from PSR, and that may be Burnley, who have just been promoted, and then Aston Villa. I think the rest of the teams all in decent positions this season. So we'll have to see how it plays out.
Burnley gamble to get up. They gamble to get up. So
every year, every single year,
happens, isn't it?
And we might see them go back down, but who knows? But people, this has been another episode of Soccer PM. If you do have any suggestions, topics, or anything you guys want us to see to do over the next couple of weeks while there is no football, make sure you drop it in the comment section on any one of our channels. Releasing every Thursday, 6 p.m. on Fam Zone TV for D and Dean. Halftime Hooks for Hooks. Durag Diaries for your boy Jords. But until next time, this has been Soccer PM. We'll see you next week.